was exposed to some pretty horrible stuff, you know, fatal motor vehicle accidents, child abuse, rapes, heaps of suicides, armed robberies, and probably over a dozen homicides. So I saw a lot of really, really bad stuff. I don't think any cop could possibly say, or any emergency service worker for that matter, could honestly say that they're never affected by some of the things that they see. One of the big things has been trying to work through the traumas and where my post-traumatic stress disorder might have started. And it's not that easy. Some people might just get it as a result of accumulated exposure to trauma, and for some others it might be exposure to one particular incident. About 16 years in my career, there was one particular homicide that I was exposed to that really flipped the switch. It was a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And I was on my own going through this house, clearing the danger at gunpoint. What happens when our fight-flight response kicks in and we get a flood of adrenaline? For me, colours become really bright. All my sensory experiences become really fine-tuned. So sense of hearing, smell and touch, they all get turned up to full volume. I got to the last room in that house where I was exposed to the worst of it. And quite simply, my whole system was so flooded with adrenaline, my brain really didn't process all those experiences that I was going through at that particular time. And it didn't catalogue the memories really, really well at all. About 2 weeks after that, I started having really, really bad nightmares. And the nightmares were specifically about that murder, but there was also scenes of other murders that sort of lapped over the top of it. Nightmares with post-traumatic stress disorder are not like just having normal bad dreams. It's like, for me, it was like waking up in the middle of the night at the point where I believed my life was about to be cut short. So it's really, really quite terrifying. I just decided that I could actually handle the nightmares, and if I just went to work every day and didn't tell anyone about it, everything would be fine. But there's about a dozen other symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder that I wasn't aware of, and they all started creeping into my life through the back door, and they caused absolute chaos in my life, particularly with my relationships. I would wake up in an extreme state of hyperarousal, where my whole adrenal system was kicked into full gear. I used to keep a billy truncheon underneath my bed, and I'd get it out, and while my family was sleeping in the dark, I would patrol my house and clear it of danger to make sure that they were safe. I identify a chronic lack of sleep over the next 8 or 9 years of my career as being really, really had a huge impact on my eventual breakdown. Basically, our system of welfare in those days was simply going out and drinking together. That's how we let off our steam. Thankfully, those times have started to change, but there is still some lingering cultural issues as far as feeling safe to put your hand up and ask for help and declare mental health problems. You know, for my generation of cops, it was like, you know, basically we joined a job where we were expected to be tough enough to take everything. So for me personally, that meant that if I actually had to put my hand up and declare that I wasn't coping real well, it sort of meant to me that I'd failed in that endeavour. So that was a bit of a stigma that was attached to it. The other thing was as well that like many of us had seen colleagues who had declared mental health problems just get discharged from the police force. The good thing is these attitudes are just starting to change now. And now, rather than just automatic discharge for mental health problems, there's a real focus on trying to keep emergency service workers at work in a safe environment while they're actually going through a recovery process. Post-traumatic stress disorder is one of those illnesses where, for a lot of us, it's actually, it might be just something that's unrealistic to hope that we'll be forever symptom-free of these illnesses. And simply that means that I'm still going to have some lingering symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder for the rest of my life. But what I've done is got back to a point where I believe I'm recovered